Continuing Chapter 2 of Book 2, The Teaching of Zarathustra, within The Treasure of the Magi, a study of modern Zoroastrianism by James Hope Moulton. And I'm not showing the pages because this is a reprint. Otherwise, I would be pointing the camera at the pages. If you're wondering the differences in my presentations, the old books, sometimes the page format is, copyrighted, so I've got to stay away from showing too much of the book. And if so, there is no reason why we should not include dominion, kshatra, welfare or salvation, harvatat, and immortality, emeritat, which are clearly concepts of the same order, although we cannot make a dogmatic statement. In any case, we see that this profound thinker's instinct not only grasped the supreme truth of the oneness of God, but realized the vital corollary, blindness, to which has vitiated the monotheism of Islam, that there must be diversity within God if the unity is to be a fruitful doctrine. Now, 319 names of God without personification, without limits in this human realm, honestly, it's making a misleading statement that's but you don't have different divinities if you have monotheism. You don't have trinities and all that sort of stuff. Polytheism is when you hit the multiple in God, multiple polytheism, If then these abstractions, which fill pages of the Gathas, are to be regarded as facets of a diamond, the unity of which represents deity, we can put them all together and realize how rich is Zarathustra's conception of God. His own name is the starting point. God is wisdom, and he is lordship. The omniscience of God is insisted on everywhere, and it survived into the Magian theology, where the devil had to be made ignorant in order to be duly antithetical. Zarathustra never suggests any limitations on the divine sovereignty. Its exercise may be deferred till the consummation, for reasons which the prophet never questions. But there is no equal and opposite power of darkness limiting his power or vanquishing his dominion, which will come in God's own time. The theological implications of the great hexad are too obvious to need much stating. Asha suggests at once the splendid sentence in which Porphyry describes Oromasdes, that his body is like unto light, and his soul unto truth, order, right, the reign of law. Such a conception of God's being is not likely to be undervalued by those whose theology has been drawn from the New Testament and illuminated by modern scientific discovery. And the Luciferian doctrine focuses on light, love, life. So you have similar groups, but again, whether it's the light bringer or whether it's the God that the light bringer refers to, you don't have to go to the Christian end with these things. Good thought reminds us of the Logos idea, but is of rather wider application, coming nearer indeed, as we have seen, to the Christian doctrine of the Spirit of God. Well, again, Zoroastrianism kind of reinserted itself into the Yazidi ideas and some of the other things going on. Besides this meaning, and that of spirituality in man, the term sometimes denotes the unity of goodness as manifest in a community of good men and women, and it is also a name for paradise. The mind is its own place, and good thought is the home of the good man forever. That dominion belongs to God, and it is to be realized at the end of all things, when his victory is complete, is, of course, a fundamental principle of Zarathustra and of Jesus, Piety, welfare, our salvation, and immortality are gifts of God, but he always gives himself. There are many problems affecting the Ameshus bands, which need not be discussed here, as they belong to the archaeology of our subject rather than to theology proper. They have, moreover, been examined elsewhere. It is time for us to pass on to Zarathustra's doctrine of evil, and, in the first place, how far is the Iranian seer really open to the charge of dualism? In answering this question, we need not feel hampered by the Magian system which attached itself to his name. We shall see later that it really differs widely in spirit, though linked to the founder's teaching by very plausible external contacts. Here, as throughout this chapter, we confine ourselves to the Gathas and accept the commentary of later religious thought only as it approves itself to be consistent with indications in the Gathas themselves. The speculative question turns on our understanding of one great passage in which the prophet is clearly intending to sum up his most fundamental doctrines in a creedal form. It must be quoted entire. Now the two primal spirits who revealed themselves in vision as twins are the better and the bad in thought, word, and action. And between these two, the wise one chose aright, the foolish not so. The foolish not so. And when these twain spirits came together in the beginning, they established life and not life, and that, at the last, the worst existence shall be to the followers of the lie, but the best thought to him that follows right. Of these twain spirits, he that followed the lie chose doing the worst things, the holiest spirit chose right, he that clothes him with the massy heavens as a garment. So likewise, they that are fain to please Ahura Mazda by dutiful actions, between these twain, the demons also chose not aright, for infatuation came upon them as they took counsel together, so that they chose the worst thought. Then they rushed together to violence, that they might enfeeble the world of man. Yasna 33 through 5 and 6. Side by side with this should be set another passage. I will speak of the spirits twain, at the first beginning of the world, of whom the holier thus spoke to the enemy. Neither thought, nor teachings, nor wills, nor beliefs, nor words, nor deeds, nor selves, nor souls of us twain agree. Yasna 45:2. Here we have then a vision. The seer is setting forth an intuition. Indeed, if we took him quite literally, it would be a dream. What are the spirits that Avestan menu is cognate with mana, which we have rendered thought, and which is more important, seems sometimes to be substituted for it. The word is not quite our spirit then, except as used in a sentence, like there was quite a different spirit in the next speech. The meaning of the passage turns on the sense of twins. Later ages took the word with prosaic literalness, as was the natural when mythology was in the ascendant. Accordingly, we read in a medieval book, Ormazd and Ahriman had been two brothers in one womb. The next step was naturally to find a parent, and we have the concept of Zirvan Akarana, infinite time, was the father of the two great opposing principles. The notion has naturally failed to get a footing in Orthodox Parsi religion at all times, so that we need not stop to ask what Zarathustra would have thought of it. Well, that's not entirely proof by itself, but definitely we're talking about a monotheist and some other things were going on at the time, which